According to our friend Mark Joseph Stern over at Slate, on Monday, Donald Trump's so-called Election Integrity Commission paused its collection of voter data in response to the latest in a series of lawsuits and complaints, a torrent now, in fact, alleging the controversial task force is breaking the law. That's right. The task force itself is breaking the law, according to all of these complaints. The commission, which is led by Vice President Mike Pence and Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, recently asked every state for an immense amount of sensitive voter information, including not only names, addresses, and birth dates, but also social security numbers, military status, etc. Stuff that would make identity theft, among other things, incredibly easy. In its rush to get that data from all 50 states, it seems the commission has ignored any number of statutes and agency rules, writes Stern, an oversight that could ultimately prevent the group from getting its hands on any of the information that it wants. Monday's abrupt halt in data collection is, according to Stern, a direct response to a lawsuit filed by the Electronic Privacy Information Center, or EPIC. EPIC alleges that the commission is violating the E-Government Act of 2002, which requires federal agencies to establish adequate data protections before collecting personal information using information technology. Specifically, an agency must prepare and publish a privacy impact assessment that explains its methodology, outlines how it would secure its data, and state whether the data would be disclosed to others. EPIC claims that the Pence-Kobach Commission has ignored this safeguard while storing voter records on an unsecured system that is not designed to protect personal data. By doing so, EPIC insists the commission has run afoul of federal law, and they have urged a federal judge to block the commission from gathering any more data until it complies with the E-Government Act. The commission has now voluntarily ceased at the moment until the judge in that case renders a decision on that request. But that's not all. Last Monday, Wendy Weiser of the Brennan Center for Justice and Larry Schwartzall of United to Protect Democracy sent a complaint to the Office of Management and Budget, alleging that the commission is violating the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1980. Under the PRA, a federal agency must follow certain procedures before sending an information request to more than 10 people. In this case, he sent it to, about 50 states. In particular, the agency must explain why it's asking for the data regarding the public, weigh the benefits and burdens of its request, articulate its plan for conducting the request and storing information, and give public notice of its intention, as well as accept commentary from the public. That process can take months, but at no point has the Pence-Kobach Commission even gestured toward that compliance with the PRA, says Stern. But that is not all either. The ACLU and the Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights under law have both now filed separate suits against the Pence-Kobach Commission on Monday, arguing that the task force is also violating the Federal Advisory Committee Act. What is the Federal Advisory Committee Act, or the FACA? And why would Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach, who is an attorney and has made a career out of fraudulently claiming massive violations of law all across the country in what he describes as a voter fraud epidemic, why would he fail to follow basic laws like the E-Government Act, the Paperwork Reduction Act, and the Federal Advisory Committee Act? After all, as the only Secretary of State in the nation granted prosecutorial powers, Kobach has thrown the book at a handful of Americans who voted in 2 different states, believing they were allowed to, or who were non-citizens when they accidentally registered to vote, believing they were allowed to do so. If he's going to prosecute others for relatively small violations of law, largely committed accidentally or without these folks fully understanding the law of the land, shouldn't he understand the laws of the land before attempting to collect private data on millions of Americans?